Well, Hawaii making big bucks despite the economic downturn, concerns over pesticide in our environment, and digging deeper into one of the state's worst marine disasters. Joining us over Skype, civilbeat.com reporter Chad Blair. Chad, I hope you got some rest this weekend because it's going to be another busy week.
It sure is, and I'm going to be covering the same-sex marriage hearing once again today. Let's hope they wrap things up pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. Let's start with the billions the federal government is giving Hawaii every year. So how does that compare to the state's other revenue sources, and what are you seeing in all of this?
Well, tourism actually set a record last year, $14 billion for the state. But what surprised us is we took a look at USAspending.gov. That's the government's own data tracker for where the money goes. In fact, Hawaii got $20 billion in 2012, about the same in the previous 2 years. That's a lot of money. And where is it going? A good chunk of it is going to Homeland Security, but it's also paying for things like defense contracts and also Social Security payments.
You know, just a reminder of how much we rely on that money these days, right?
We sure do.
Yeah.
And when there's problems in Washington, we're particularly concerned.
All right, another problem that a lot of us are facing these days, just about everybody's heard about the battle over GMOs and pesticide use in Hawaii. So now some state agencies, they're trying to take a bigger step to understand how it's affecting us. What's happening here?
Well, we're talking specifically about glyphosate. It's probably more commonly known as Roundup, and it is safe for killing weeds and things like that. The problem is the residue can stay in the soil, it can stay in waterways, it can stay on fruits and vegetables. So Hawaii's Environmental Council is recommending that maybe the state should sample and test regularly for glyphosate. They're just an advisory council, but their influence is important, could influence lawmakers to actually make this law.
Well, speaking of dangerous, yucky stuff out there, those aerial shots of the brown goo drifting through Honolulu Harbor, I think burned in our brains at this point. You guys have been digging through some public records to try to find a little more about what went down leading up to this mess. What did you guys find out?
Well, what we found out is that the state, particularly the Department of Transportation, knew much more about the leak and about its problems and was not being forthcoming with the public. They were very concerned about liability issues, being sued. They also explained in these emails and other documents how they really didn't have a contingency plan to deal with the spill. You can read all about that and more in Nick Ruby's report on our website today.
Well, glad you guys are keeping an eye on these very important issues. Always fun to have you around. All right, take a deep breath. Here we go with the same-sex marriage. All right. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, well, you can find the complete story we just discussed on civilbeat.com.